Hello everyone, welcome to Writing Quest. My name is Brendan, and in this episode today we are going to talk about how I use the program Notion to organize all of my writing, keep my timeline intact, and how I use that day to day, month to month, all that kind of thing. So here we go. Alright, so before I get into this, this is not going to be a video on how to use Notion. Notion is this really great program that covers a lot of ground. It does a lot of things, and so we're not going to get into all of the Notion stuff in this. I'm simply going to tell you how I use Notion. This particular template I got from Mel-Lee-Smith, and I'll put a link in the description for that. And I recently moved a lot of my other task management stuff to Notion. And so I was looking for a way to integrate my writing into that. Previously, I had used Ulysses, which I still love Ulysses. I love it a lot. I think it's a great program. But ultimately, I was just wanting to keep all of my stuff in the same place. And so that was kind of where that began, looking for a template, and I found a really great one. It's got a lot of great connections. I've obviously modified it for my own uses, but it starts out with great. So if you've never outlined a series before, if you've never really, if you don't quite know where to start, this one was great. It integrates all of the different projects you create with different chapters and characters. One of the things that I struggled with before was keeping a document up to date on which characters were in which chapters and all that stuff. This really helped out that. So this from Mel-Lee-Smith, and we're going to jump to the template now. All right, so this is it. This is the actual template that I use, that I got. And I see I have my little map here that I made with incarnate.com. You should check that out. It's a really cool tool. But anyways, I started with this, and really, I'm still fairly new to using it. I've probably only been using it for about a month and a half or so. So I haven't got to using every single part of it, but like this writing tasks and deadlines thing, I haven't quite used that, although I think I'm probably getting closer to that. And then of course, this is a calendar view of all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. The main place that I go to use here is the projects area. So we're going to click on that. All right, so this is the whole thing. I'm going to hide this here for a second. So this is it. So you are going to get a whole look at the everything I got planned so far. So good luck. So first off, I have up here, and this is adapted. So this isn't exactly like Mel-Lee-Smith's template. You should definitely check that out. But so I just have a master outline that I've been working on putting together. I've got it sorted by the different kind of trilogies I have planned, which currently there are 4. The main outline here, I'm going to drop in I have a couple of standalones in different trilogies, and I haven't dropped that all into this main timeline. But really all this particular view is just a bird's eye view for me. So I've just got the name of the book, a link to the manuscript, so I can just click into the manuscript if I want to. And then I've got a progress bar of where I'm at in the process, and then a status. So these two kind of go together. So for instance, I'm writing of Wolves and Wizards, as you all know, and it's first draft in progress, and I'm about 15% done of my word goal. I set all of my word goals at 100,000 words. The reason I do that, I know that it could end up anywhere between 75 to 125 or more. I know it could be, but 100,000 words to me seems like an appropriate length for a high fantasy type novel. And it's just a guideline. So I'm shooting for that. If I finish the book and I feel like it's completed a little bit before that or a little bit after, I'm not going to stop myself at 100,000 words. And I'm not going to try to stretch it to that necessarily either. I probably would do the stretching it a little more than I would stopping, just to make sure that there's enough content to go back through and edit and all that stuff. I set them at 100,000 words. I think that's appropriate. I think the first Harry Potter book is 76,000 or something like that, and then the Aragon book is 130 or something crazy. I don't know. Don't quote me on those numbers. So I always set it at 100,000, so that's what this is. So I'm 15% of the way, which means I'm at about 15,000 words. First draft in progress. So these first three books, which I have titles here for, so there you go. Working titles, of course. They're in the Wolves and Wizards series, so that's the first trilogy. So I've got 4 trilogies of the series, and they're all kind of broken up into those little, it's going to be one whole story, but I'm kind of writing them as trilogies. So I just have it as a series. I'm not started. So the reason we have book 1 and 2 are both started at 15 and 10% is that we split the book. So if you watched our last episode, we talked about splitting the book. That's why that is. So I have all the stuff that we moved. I put it over there and into book 2. Might not even use any of it, but that's where it is right now. Book 3, not started. So I have all those. If you go into down here, so this one here is the original book that I started. Obviously, it's at a second draft. Lots of words there, and I've got little bits and pieces. Like I said, I've got some individual books that I want to throw in here that I haven't put in the master timeline yet, but I will. So that's just an overview. That's kind of an at a glance for me to look at and say, this is kind of where everything is at. Ultimately, this is the Alliance Saga. This is supposed to be the whole thing. I haven't set it up yet, but this will show the full progress bar of the whole series eventually for me. So if I toggle that away, we're going to go into, this is where the actual projects are. So this is every project that I have planned so far. And if you click into the projects, I love how you can show the artwork here that we have. So I've only got artwork for 3 of my books right now. This is a short story I'm working on. I'm really excited about that. So if you click in, it's going to give you a whole bunch of info. And so to some people, now this is what I want to say before we get into this. To some people, this is too much. And for others, it's not enough. For me, I found that I like having a lot of information when I need it, and I want to have it fairly structured. I like having the structure. I don't outline a whole book structured, but when I'm working on the book, I like to have it. So that was part of why I went to Notion, is I could make it as simple or complicated as I wanted. What I like with Mel-Lee-Smith's template here is that it starts off fairly medium level, so you can go up or down with it as you want as far as complexity. I modified this so she didn't necessarily have built in a automatic word counter. Now it's not automatic, of course, I'll show you how I do that, but ultimately I created it so that my daily writing section, which I'll show you in a minute, updates the project's progress bar. And I'll show you how I did that here in a minute. But so anyways, I've got my goal word count and I've got my progress. I have my deadline of this is when I'd love to have the first draft done, which is at the end of this year, and I have the status. Now, if you go to this chapter, these are all kind of links to things. As you can see, I haven't fully started embracing the characters part yet, but I'm going to get there. I've got the world, and I don't have a lot of research. So word count tracker, these are my daily writing things. These are the last ones I've done in the last few days. So I can click into there and kind of see my progress of what I've written at each day if I wanted to. And then this is the chapters I currently have, just listed by names. Type, this is a novel. That would seem silly to have to label it, but I do have a couple of short stories. I have a couple standalone novels, and I have a couple of young adult idea plans, not kids books, but younger books that I don't even have in my projects list yet because I just came up with them. I'm really excited about that. So I have that just to kind of, if I'm just at a glance, oh yeah, that's a novel. It starts to become a lot to remember just offhand series. And then if I click this would actually take me to that. So, and then of course I have it related to a life goal of mine, which is to write 50,000 words in the next couple of months. So if you scroll down, we have our cover that Aiden had created a while ago. We're really excited about that. I still love that cover. I think it's great. He did a great job. A couple of little things about that there. Yeah. And then this is the chapter list. So if you come here, this chapter list is linked a couple of places. I have it sorted by, I created a chapter number thing, so you can sort it by that. Title, outline, which we'll get into what I call a rolling outline later. I don't know if anyone's ever used that. It's what I call it. It's probably a tactic other people have used before, but it's what I do. So has the number of words in each chapter, which I count as I write. So we do that. Scroll over, you get a couple other notes and things like that. So this chapter list thing is all one repository. So if you go to the chapter list thing, it's going to be every chapter from every single book, which is why we have our project of what it's linked to there, so it sorts correctly. So as you can see, and if you go into the Wattpad, you can read all of these. I have the prologue, the first chapter, and the second chapter, all completed first draft. So they're all posted, ready for you to go. And what I do here is I just kind of have this kind of, I need to hit these points in the story. Next, so I'm working on this one now, and I've decided I'm kind of writing this as just in a straight shot. I will jump ahead if I need to, but I'm feeling pretty confident about where I need to go at this point. So I just have a big list of, these are all the kind of different plot points that I've outlined for stuff. And then, of course, I have an epilogue, which is the original ending that we had written that we split the book from. So that's where that is. I don't know why it doesn't have the word count there, but something to fix later. So those are all in the first draft area. And then if you click into this, of course, I'll keep building on this. So like I'm in the second draft when I get to that, second draft completed, all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much how everything gets organized. When I start using the characters thing, which I've started on some of it, I'm going to go back retroactively and attach some things to things. But you can connect characters and settings, and so those are all in one different table, and then they can go to different projects. What's nice about that is when you go over to here, for instance, I have a characters thing, so I can see at a glance before I start writing which characters are in that chapter. So because so when I first wrote my very first manuscript of anything I ever wrote, I just kind of lost track of who was where, and then all of a sudden I'd be, 10 chapters down, and I'd never revisited that character, which sometimes is warranted and sometimes it's not. So I just had to, this is a nice way to basically what's nice is when I go into writing for the day, I can kind of do a really quick glance at the general information. So I can see all the characters that are in there. I can see the different outline, what project is, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So that's pretty much how that goes. As far as projects go, I like that I can kind of order things here. And then eventually as I fill in the artwork, you'll be able to see all that. So, and then this would be that same calendar from before of the writing tasks. So if I go back here, daily writing log. Now I have this integrated into my personal project management workflow. And so I'm not going to show you all that because that's for me, of course, but I'm going to show you what I got here. So I just have started kind of messing with this more recently. Looks like the last month or so. So basically I go in here and on new, I've created a template here. So if I click this template, this is Of Wolves and Wizards, Book 1, First Draft. Okay. So every morning when I go to write, I click that, I click this template, and it populates a new line on this table. Okay. So I've put a word goal every morning of 500 words. It's not a lot, it's just enough. What I did, and then the difference. So if you can see here, I was a little shy of my goal here, a little bit shy there, way shy here. So I haven't been doing very good. But see, then here now I went a little over. That's why it's negative, because it's just minusing them from each other. So basically what I can do is I click here, and then I add the date, which would be this as of the recording. And then I just mark it Of Wolves and Wizards. That way, if I go back through, I'll be able to kind of quickly identify. Click the date again so it shows up on the calendar, which I've already done this for today, so I'll end up deleting this one. And then basically what I do is I go down here, which has my same chapter list as before. See, it shows me some of the same information that I need. So this is a quick indicator. If I drag this over here, quick little indicator of okay, I'm not writing, I'm writing here. This is my next one. Okay. So I click into that, open. and here you go. So you got all the same information that you had before, of course. A little bit of an outline of this chapter, and then what chapter it is, or I don't know why that's there. Yeah, what chapter it is. Word count that it's currently at, project, all that kind of stuff. You go down here, and this is where the words are. So you can just right away, this is where I'm at in the middle there. I put a little line break in the middle so I know where I'm at. And then this is all the words. So when I'm done writing for the day, basically all I do is click the little 3 dots here and grab this little word count number, which is the same as the one because I already updated it for today. So say I wrote 500 words, it'd be at 2,086. So I basically just subtract that from my current number, which would be 500, and then I update that number. Then what I do is I do Command, go back, and then on this page, I type that in. So I have a goal of 500, I wrote 500, which means my difference is 0. It's a little bit more manual. Obviously, if you go into Ulysses or, the specific writing programs, that will automatically count them. But to me, this just seemed to work. Personally, I kind of like the manual process because it helps me stay really intentional with my writing. And again, I want to say so basically, I'll finish this up. So then if you go down here, this will be updated, this number here. So that would be at 2086 if I would have updated it. So if I click out of here, go back to the Aligned Saga, go back to my projects list, this number, the updated number, the progress bar will have been updated. So all the math kind of funnels back to the beginning. So all I have to do is count my words as I go. And then it always tells me this keeps going up. So I'm really excited, actually, because only about 4 days ago, that was down at 10%. It's already up to 15%, so I'm really liking that. So basically, that's it. I think the one thing a lot of people I use Notion for everything. There's some detractors about that, saying you shouldn't use Notion for everything. And obviously, Notion is not specifically a writing program. However, what I have discovered is that having it all in one place connected to my other task and project management system, as well as having a place where I can manage the scope of this at any different level, to me, that is invaluable and worth dealing with some of the limitations of it. So say what you will, maybe it's not for you. Personally, this is what I do. And again, I want to thank Mel-Lee-Smith for her creation of this template because I love it. I use it all the time. I think it's great. And that's it. If you want more tutorials on Notion, I would suggest looking up Thomas Frank. He's got a whole Thomas Frank Explains, I think is the YouTube channel. He has all sorts of tutorials on Notion if you want to get started. I will tell you, it's a simple program, but it's also a beast of a program. It can do a lot of stuff. I use it for everything that I do. And I'm really glad that I was able to integrate my writing because one of my productivity things that I hate the most is having to use a bunch of different apps. So the fact that I was able to take my writing app and my task management app and put them together was excellent for me. I hope you learned something from this video, and I'm really excited that I got to show you this. I'm really excited that you got to see all the projects we are working on. There's a lot coming from Writing Quest, so please stay tuned. If you haven't checked out the book, please check out the Wattpad and read it. Give it a like, give it a vote. I think it's votes on Wattpad. So please do that. I really encourage you. I'm excited about the story. I think it's coming along really great. And that's all for now. So thank you very much. And this is Writing Quest.